What will the Bulls do now? Sports Talk Chicago. Here for Jon Zaghloul. Appreciate all of you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel for more Chicago sports content. Hit us up all over social media at Sports Talk Chicago and podcast at Sports Talk Chicago. Hit up our sponsor as well, Amish Country Farms in Orland Park, for the best Amish food in all of Chicagoland. Find them today and tell them we sent you. What will the Bulls do now is the title of this video. It's the big question that's surrounding what they're doing at the moment. And frankly, I don't know what direction this franchise is going in. A couple of big news headlines that recently came out that makes me wonder what's going on is the fact that they're engaged in extension talks with Nikola Vucevic. They privately believe Lonzo Ball will never play again. And oh, by the way, this is a team that went 40-42 and was knocked out of the play-in tournament and really has no direction or no future. So again, I ask, what are they doing right now? And I asked this question specifically to Arturas Karnisovas, what's the plan? What's supposed to happen here? What's the strategic vision of this team? Because I'll tell you, what I see is nothing. I see more 40-42 records. I see more play-in tournament eliminations, even if they get in. Let's say they may not make it all the time. I don't see a championship in the future. I don't even see a deep playoff run in the future. What are we doing here? Arturas Karnisovas came in the midst of COVID, hired his own coach, got rid of pretty much everybody on the roster, made big trades, including the trade for Nikola Vucevic, and the team only had 1 year of legitimate success, and that was it. And that was last year when they went 46-36. And they still lost in the first round of the Eastern Conference Finals. That should not be the barrier or the maximum criteria you need for success. If I were the owner of this team, I'd say Arturas is on a short leash. And I'd say this team as a whole is on a short leash. I'm watching the NBA Finals. I'm seeing what's been happening in the world of basketball. This Bulls team does not have it. They do not have the gusto to get past the first round of the playoffs. They don't have the talent available to get to the NBA Finals. Now, granted, you could say the Heat don't, right? But the Heat have so many role players, and they still have superstars who are willing to produce. Jimmy Butler, still a superstar. Bulls screwed up by letting him go. Big time. Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus. By the way, Max Strus was a former Bull who grew up right here in Palos Heights, Illinois. And now he's playing a huge role for Miami in the finals. Bulls let him go. That wasn't under Arturas. It was under Garpax. Not a surprise, but still. Where is this team going? They don't have a point guard, and they privately believe, I love how it's private, just say it publicly, now it's public knowledge, they believe Lonzo Ball will never play again. It's an unfortunate situation, but they need to cut ties and move forward. They're extending Nikola Vucevic, which I like Vucevic as a player, but my question is, you're going to stick with this core that won you 40 games last year, that forced you to be eliminated from the first round of the play-in tournament? I mean, what are we doing here, guys? What's the goal? What's the vision? Where are they going? Answer's nowhere right now. Billy Donovan's still the head coach. Arturas is still in charge. These players are going to come back for now. And newsflash, this core of Vooch and Levine and DeRozan unfortunately does not work. As individual players, they are great, and I love all of them. But this core has proven for 2 years in a row now that they cannot win a championship. They can't even make it past the first round in the playoffs, let alone win a championship. The Bulls have no depth whatsoever, and they've chosen, which just boggles my mind, they've chosen to stick with these players and this core, which has gotten them nowhere. Why? I don't know. As we've seen in the past, the Bulls love to settle for mediocrity. They love to be a 500 team that never goes anywhere. They love to keep coaches on longer than they should, and they love, as we saw with Garpax, to keep executives around who should not be there. So although I say Arturas Karnisovas should be in the hot seat or maybe should even be fired, will it happen? No. And we're back to square one. We're back to the beginning. We're back to where Bulls fans dreaded. A team in the middle, never high, never low, never making any big moves to succeed, but never making drastic moves to rebuild. They're always in the middle. And they're rewarding everybody in the organization for continued mediocrity. Garpax had calls for firing for a decade, literally a decade. Pax was there for 17 years. As a player, he was great. As a human being, he's great. As an executive, not so great. Same with Gar Forman. It took 17 years for them to go. They hired this savvy, exciting front office member from the Nuggets. Oh, and by the way, don't give me that BS that Arturas built up the Nuggets fully in this team. Arturas didn't even draft Jokic. Arturas was the AGM at the time. Wasn't even the general manager yet. Funny, when he left, the Nuggets are now in the finals, too. Because he eventually became the GM. But when he left, that's when they got better. This team was a difficult watch in 2023. This team had issues in 2023. This team still has issues. And based on the course of events that have so far occurred in the offseason, it looks like those issues are going to persist because I don't see a plan in place to make things better, to make the situation better, to do something to help matters in Chicago. I see the same old, same old. I see negotiating with the same players. I see private sentiment that everyone's known publicly for years now with Lonzo Ball. And I see nobody making any effort to be better. It's the same. Like with Garpax, it's the same. I'd be fine with the same if they were winning. I'd be fine with the same if they won 50 games a year. I'd be fine with the same if they were the Golden State Warriors, but they're not. They're the Chicago Bulls, and the same is not cutting it. And you know what? Somebody at some point inside that organization has to say something and not sit on the sidelines and watch this team for years continue to be 500 and continue to be mediocre and continue to do the same old, same old. It doesn't work. Arturas should have 1 year to go. And if this team is not better, if this team is not winning 50 games, goodbye, Arturas Karnisovas. You did some things right, but at the end of the day, you turned into the same thing. The same thing the Bulls tried to avoid, the same thing that eventually they fired in Garpax. You're going to extend and sign players who just have not done anything to help you win. Vooch is a great player. He's helped the Bulls win some regular season games. But again, this core has not won the Bulls anything of significance. They've been beaten down in the playoffs the 2 times they've made it. That's it. I mean, there's nothing else to say. This core is a failure, unfortunately. And maybe everybody, if they all went to their own separate teams, if they latched on with somebody different, it'd be a completely different story. If DeMar DeRozan went to the LA Lakers, they'd probably be in the finals right now. If Zach LaVine stayed with the Timberwolves, if he went away and signed somewhere else, fine. If Vooch stayed with the Magic the whole time, I don't know what the alternatives would have been, but I do know this. All of them together has not worked. This team has no depth either. I go back to my initial question. What are they doing? What are they going to do? What's the plan? I don't see a plan. I see the same. I see nothing. I see no strategy. No, hey, how are we going to move forward? How are we going to improve? I see nothing. I see nothing. I see nothing of significance. And it hurts me, and it should hurt you as a Bulls fan. This organization even for myself growing up, not really watching the MJ years, saw success. Luol Deng, Kirk Heinrich, Ben Gordon, great teams. Later on with Derrick Rose and all the role players that surrounded him, great teams. Jimmy Butler for a time there, good team. Not great, but good. Now, nothing. This era for the Bulls of Levine and Vooch and DeRozan has lasted 2 years, and that's it. I mean, there's been nothing. There was a playoff appearance and a sweep out of the Eastern Conference quarterfinals, and then now a play-in tournament appearance and losing to now the NBA Finals winner from the East, the Heat. And don't give me the fact that the Bulls, hey, lost to the best. I don't want to hear it. Let me ask you this. If the Bulls won the play-in game, would they have made it to the finals then, Arturas? Don't you love that spin job? I mean, I hear that stuff all the time. Hey, we lost to the best. We wouldn't have gone any further. Or the alternative, hey, if the Heat did it, we could have done it in the play-in tournament. No, you couldn't have. You suck. There's no way you could have done that, what the Heat just did. No way. I love spin jobs. I love public relations and communication because it's so fun calling out their BS. There's absolutely no way the Bulls would have done what the Heat did. And it doesn't make it any better that you lost to the best. You still freaking lost. You still lost in the play-in tournament, too. Not in the first round or second round or Eastern Conference Finals. No, they lost in the play-in tournament, which they probably shouldn't have even been in. Ouch. The plan seems to be wash, rinse, and repeat. And I want to be on the record as saying I don't agree with it. I don't know what's going to come for this team. I don't know what differences are going to be made or what changes will be made, if anything. But I do know this, Bulls fans, and if you're listening, listen close. It ain't going to be good. Arturas Karnisovas is officially on thin ice, whether the Bulls want to admit it or not. He should be if he isn't yet. And this core that everybody loves individually does not work well together. Question is, will there be change? Will anything be done about it? Unfortunately, the answer is no. And that is what hurts the most. Thanks for watching today's show here on Sports Talk Chicago. Big thank you to John Meadows, directing and producing, and all of you for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel for more Chicago sports content, and also follow us all over Sports Talk Chicago. Hit up our sponsor as well, Amish Country Farms, for the best Amish food in all of Chicagoland. Tell them Sports Talk Chicago sent you. So long, everyone.